Konnichiwa, everybody! Jeffrey Michael here, and welcome to the latest edition of Jeffrey Michael's Movie Reviews Extravaganza. In this video, I will cover the movies that were released on September the 29th, 2017. Okay, so the first movie that I will cover in this video is American Made, rated R. It stars Tom Cruise and was directed by Doug Liman, who brought you such films as The Bourne Identity, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and Edge of Tomorrow. Now, this is Tom Cruise's second film of 2017, and thank God he made another one because his other movie was The Mummy, which was released over the summer. Oh my God, that movie was awful. I don't know what the hell they were thinking making that one. If you haven't seen The Mummy yet, don't. Trust me. I saw it so you don't have to, so you're welcome. Anyway, so this movie about Tom Cruise, is American Made, is based on a true story. Tom Cruise stars as Barry Seal, who was, in 1978, he was a TWA pilot who had a wife and kids, and he was bored out of his mind. And one day, a CIA officer named Monty Schaefer, played by Domhnall Gleeson, recruits him. He tells him, it's the middle of the Cold War in the 70s and 80s, and Russia may be taking over, Central American countries. So he saw his piloting skills and thought, would you mind working for us, flying your plane over and snapping pictures of these bases overhead and, delivering guns to the rebels who are trying to protect their lands. And all goes well and fine, for him because he accepts. And then all of a sudden, these drug lords at the time, Escobar and the Ochoa brothers, maybe you've heard of them, get wind of this excellent pilot, and they kidnap him and say, we'll give you lots of money if you'll smuggle drugs for us back to your country. And who could pass that up, right? Apparently he couldn't. And there's at one point in the movie where his character, breaks the fourth wall to us, the audience, says, you might want to, if it gets a little crazier from here, you might want to prepare yourself. And he's not kidding. Because at one point, he and his family are relocated to a middle of nowhere town in Arkansas by the CIA, and he's given 120 acres of land, and he gets his own airport, abandoned airport that he gets to own now, and he's raking in the cash. There's so much money at one point that he's burying it in the backyard and shivving it into closets. There's more money and more drugs and more guns, and it just gets crazy. At one point in the movie, you have the FBI, the DEA, and the local law enforcement all coming to arrest him at the same time. We're taking him in. No, wait a minute, we're taking him. Where? That's one of the things that I loved about this movie is that it's based on a real story, and it gets so absurd at one point that you just have to laugh at just how ridiculous it's gotten. Whew. Just that alone, I would give this movie like a solid B+, because I had a good time watching this, and I think you would too if you gave it a chance. So if you want to see it, I recommend it. Okay, so let's keep moving on to the next movie, which is Flatliners, rated PG-13, starring Ellen Page and Diego Luna. Now, Flatliners is a remake of a 1990 movie by Joel Schumacher. It starred Kiefer Sutherland, Julia Roberts, and Kevin Bacon. Now, that movie was a modest success when it came out. It was more, notorious because, Kiefer Sutherland and Julia Roberts were an item at the time, and, they starred together in that movie, so... But this remake is pretty much, follows the same story. A group of med students, want to know what it's like and in the afterlife, experience the afterlife. So, they strap themselves to a table, they have their heart stopped, and they're dead on the table for a couple minutes, and then the last second they're rejuvenated, back to life, to tell about what their experiences were like in the afterlife. But in the process, they end up inadvertently opening up a door, to a crazy, sinister, dark world where a demon might be haunting them. Uh-oh. So, let me start off by saying, all the things about this movie that I liked. Well, it stars Ellen Page, which, who I love her. And Diego Luna, he's great. He was in that Star Wars Rogue One movie. He's really good too. And oh, who am I kidding? They both deserve better, and they know it. This movie, oh, gosh, the characters are unlikable. Nothing makes any sense. There's plot holes galore. Even for like a horror film or a mystery film, it's nothing. It's inert. You know what? I'm not going to waste any more time. I give it a D. This is one of those, I saw it so you don't have to, so you're welcome. Took a bullet for you guys. Avoid at all costs. You heard me. Moving on. Okay, so the last movie that I will cover in this video is Battle of the Sexes, rated PG-13. It stars Emma Stone and Steve Carell, and was directed by husband and wife directing team Valerie Faris and Jonathan Dayton, who brought us such gems as Little Miss Sunshine, one of my personal favorite movies, and Ruby Sparks, and I'm happy to say that once again they brought a little gem into our lives, those two. So Battle of the Sexes, as you might guess, is based on the infamous tennis match in 1973 between Bobby Riggs and Billie Jean King. Now, the movie itself is not really about the match, that takes place at the end, but rather about the lives of Bobby Riggs and Billie Jean King and the events in their lives that lead up to the infamous match at the end. And this movie could have easily gone one-dimensional and had it be like, I hate women, well, I hate men, blah, 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 blah. But instead, I'm happy to say that it took its time and really, tried to paint them as real human beings. Bobby Riggs, was a gambling addict, and he was really estranged with his wife and his family. And Steve Carell did such a great job of, showcasing his showboatness and, or that's not a word, or his chauvinism. I mean, he really brought that character, the real-life man, to life. And Billie Jean King, she has her own, personal demons that she's struggling with. I mean, she lives in a time when, 1970s, when women's lib is alive and well. And, as a tennis player, she's not feel that she's earning enough. And, the matches that she wins, she's not getting the same amount of money that the men are. And so she and fellow female tennis players had to form their own women's league. But as if that weren't bad enough, she's also, married to a man named Larry King. Yes, that's his name, not the one that we know, just the same name. And she, while married to this man, she also is struggling with her attraction to her female hairdresser. I mean, if you can imagine, being a woman was really hard that time. I mean, to be a woman who was also attracted to another woman, that could have been career killing back then. I mean, so you can, and with Emma Stone playing her, can I just say for a second though, I love Emma Stone. I mean, she's one of the best things to happen to this planet, period. And she proves once again, she was born to be an actress. I mean, she brings this quiet vulnerability to a woman who had like the whole world on her shoulders and, had to really live up to it and to people's expectations of what was expected. And, eventually their lives meet and they end up, competing in this infamous match. And if you were alive at the time, you know who the eventual winner was. But, it wasn't really about tennis, that match. It was really about, what the people were saying at the time. Can women finally triumph against men? Can men finally beat women and tell them where their place is? I mean, and the film does a really good job of displaying, it's very true to the times now, with the turmoil that's going on. And there's also a very poignant moment in the movie that I really liked when Billie Jean is pulled aside by her male fashion designer, who, we know that he plays for her team. And he says, I know what you're going through, and I want you to know that it'll be okay, because I truly believe that people change and that one day our time will come. Just keep your head up. And that's a very, moment in the film that really touched me, and it gave me realize, that the directors really did a good job of, getting across the message, that, no matter how difficult times can be, stand up and, stand up for what you believe in. And so, all that together, my grade for this movie is an A-. I really like this one. And so I definitely recommend it to everyone out there if you want to have a nice, good time at the movies. This is a good one. So see if you really want to, because Jeff Rayburn gives his endorsement. Time for the recap. American Made, B+. Crazy, over-the-top, entertaining film based on a true story. See it. Flatliners, D. Literally flat lines on the table. Avoid at all costs, please. And Battle of the Sexes, A-. Another beautiful gem from the directors of Little Miss Sunshine. Everybody should see this one. Okay, that'll do it for the latest edition of Jeffrey Michael's Movie Reviews Extravaganza. Until next time, happy movie watching, everybody. So long for now.